Hi, I'm Caitlin Wilson. I'll be discussing single parents of multiple children and why are they a vulnerable population and what health concerns they may have. So this population is created by divorce, separation, and widowing. These situations cause the parents to have to raise the kids by themselves. They're vulnerable because the responsibilities that were once shared by two parents are now all on the one parent. So it causes them to have a decrease in time, decrease in adequate resources, a decrease in social support, just because they don't have enough time to spend with the people that could help them. They have an increased stress level, which could cause them to have increased risk of illness. So locally in Weber County, about 17% of households have single parents raising multiple kids. Statewide, it's 56%, nationally 68%, and then for internationally, I could only find about 14% of children live in single parent households. So locally, it's a lot less than statewide and nationally, and I think this could just be caused by an increased rate of divorce or separation outside of Utah, because Utah has a more family-centered culture than other parts of the U.S. So they put a little more effort into staying together as a family. But I just think that could be a couple of the reasons why that difference is so drastic between locally and nationally. So some social determinants of health that I found for these people. They probably have a decreased quality of education just because they may have had to drop out of school early, or they couldn't continue their education because they had to put all of their time and effort into raising their kids. Decreased social support just because they spend all their time with their kids, or they're trying to balance time with their kids and work and making sure all that is done. A decrease in socioeconomic conditions because they only have one source of income for the household, and they have to be more picky of where to spend their money. So they deal with a lot of the stresses that come with the socioeconomic conditions. Like they have to spend money on food or their kids' school instead of like more nutritious options for meals and stuff. They could also have some residential segregation because they might be the only single parent in the neighborhood or at their kid's school, and the other parents might not accept them of being the only parent. So they might have those issues as well. And to go along with social determinants of health, some specific concerns with their physical health is they have an increased susceptibility to illness just because of their higher stress level, and they have a lack of healthcare options. They have to be more picky of where they spend their money, and they may be taking their kids to the doctor and spending money there instead of going to the doctor themselves when they have symptoms. And then they probably just don't have time to go to the doctor for wellness checks, let alone when something is wrong with them. They probably don't have enough time to exercise and get out and move, so they may have some obesity problems as well, and that creates a whole other cause of problems that they could have. Some psychosocial concerns. They just have increased stress that could lead to other illnesses and depression, and they probably feel lonely because they don't have enough time to spend with their other family or friends, which can lead to problems such as depression. They can make themselves more isolated and anxiety. And then, like I talked about before, just some economic factors is just they're the only source of income for the home. They need to be picky on where to spend their money. So to determine a root cause, I asked the question, why is this population vulnerable? And the answer I came up with is they are vulnerable because they are at risk for not having the proper resources. And then I asked, why are they at risk? And my answer was they are on their own to raise their kids, they only have one source of income, and they may have got limited education before they had children. And why do they have these increased risks? They have increased risks because they are a single parent raising their kids, and that could be because they got divorced, they're separated from their significant other, or they are widowed. And that's the main root cause that I found for this vulnerable population. Under Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the tiers that I found that they would meet is physiological, safety, and love and belonging. And then the tiers that they didn't meet is esteem and self-actualization. And then based on those tiers, their anticipated functional level is, I feel like they're mostly functional adults. They have food, shelter, their kids, so their family and their job. They're probably able to care for their kids and themselves without much help from other people. They know where to get most of their resources and money to keep their family fed and healthy. They probably also have some social support that can help them deal with stresses and help them take care of their kids when they need it. And then the social support also helps them with burnout from consistently caring for their kids and not for themselves. And then their likely health outcomes is their physical health will probably mostly be healthy with no serious issues compared to other families around them. They may have some increased mental illness possibilities just because they're putting all their time into raising their kids and not a lot of time to care for themselves. They may be at risk of contracting communicable diseases and infections just due to increased stress, surrounded by their kids and their kids' friends that could also be sick. They may not have enough time or money to go to the doctor, and they are not taking the proper time to care for themselves. So to decrease their risk, we need to educate them on proper hygiene, and to decrease stresses with coping mechanisms like deep breathing, self-care rituals, and then encouraging exercising. They could also be at risk for some non-communicable diseases like depression and anxiety just because they felt lonely, and they may have a lack of outside social support that they can spend time with outside from taking care of their kids. No time for themselves, and then just increased stresses about money, how to feed their children, making sure their kids are happy and healthy. Some ways to help them, like before, just some effective coping mechanisms, discuss their triggers for depression and anxiety and how to avoid them, encourage time to de-stress, and then maybe provide them with some resources that could help them with money or to help care for their kids. They may be at risk for some self-care concerns, like not going to the doctor, ignoring their symptoms when they have them, and then they don't have any control over their schedules. They're probably mostly balancing work and their kids' schedules, so just no time for themselves. And then going along with depression and continually not taking care of themselves, they could be at risk for some suicidal thoughts or actions. So to help them, just remind them their sense of purpose, like caring for their kids and educating them about maybe their suicidal feelings and about getting help when they have them. Of course, encouraging a support system to help them get through any feelings or emotions they may be having, and then provide them with resources for medical help, such as free clinics in the area. I couldn't really see a risk for harm by other people to this population, but they may unintentionally cause harm to their children. Probably just by expecting too much of them and not spending enough time with them, their kids could develop feelings of loneliness and depression from that. And then providing a lifestyle for their kids that could cause obesity just by giving them fast food instead of more nutritious options, just because fast food is cheaper and easy, especially when they're constantly on the go and don't have enough time. And then if they're busy, they probably putting their kids in front of electronic devices instead of having them get outside and moving. Ways to help them with this is just educate them on these choices that could harm their kids, because they might not even be aware that they're doing it. And providing resources for proper nutrition. They may need help with money for food, so food stamps might be a good option for them. And then just encouraging them to spend time with their kids and having a solid support system to not only help the parents, but to help the kids feel like they're loved and accepted, so depression and anxiety isn't an issue for them. And then there's my resources. I feel like I can be an advocate for these patients when they come into my clinic, when they come into my care, from the things that I learned from this assignment. And I hope you learned something too. Bye.